As a matter of fact, they still have to excavate a great part of Pompeii, you know, it's still so much to do. And in Pompeii, you can spend a long time, not just 2 hours, but we fit in during the day those 2 hours in order to show you the highlights. And also, it's very tiring, you know. Been rebuilt in the exact style of the original one. It's hard to say that it's not the original. It took 20 years to rebuild this abbey, imagine that. As we drive along, you're gonna get a better view, huh? Keep looking to your left, and it's quite good the view today. It's not so foggy. Usually we can't see that so clear. It's still the Abbey, a Benedictine order of monks. Those monks, they are famous because one of the oldest order that we have in Italy. Also famous for their library. They have very old books that they restored. And they're famous for restoring books anyway. And you could visit the library as you can visit the abbey. But the monks, you never see them. They never show up because they take the vote of silence. We used to have tours up there. We finally gave up. Because, you know, after all that scary drive that you have to do, if you look carefully, there is a road, very tiny road, 2 ways. Now you can see it to get up there. It takes about 40 minutes drive to get up there from down below. But then after this scary drive, after all the effort to get up there, you get to the abbey and most of the time it's closed because the monks, when they have their, you know, praying, their, you know, services, they close the abbey so you can't see it. Though you have a lovely view of the valley down below from the terrace, and you can see, in any case, from the terrace, the Polish cemetery. I told you it's a famous cemetery because 1,100 Polish soldiers are buried, and we do have a lot of Polish people, you know, visiting the cemetery. That's why in the new village of Cassino, which is the one that you see to the left, you know, down below is the new village of Cassino, there are a lot of hotels because of all the people, you know, visiting the abbey. Sometime you must have an overnight due to the strict rules of the monks up there. And you are right in the middle of the way over here at this point between Rome and the city of Naples itself. Soon as we pass Cassino, we are already in Campania region, the region where Naples is. Naples is capital town of Campania region, but also Sorrento, Positano, Amalfi, Caserta, this is all Campania region. Next important town that we will drive by will be the town of Caserta. Caserta is famous for the Royal Palace. Next time you come in the area, maybe you have overnight down south, I do suggest you the visit of the Royal Palace of Caserta, which is a very unique, beautiful museum. But you know, once we drive through the city of Naples, I'm going to show you the Royal Palace of Naples. It's the exact style as the Royal Palace of Caserta. It has been those two palaces, the one of Caserta and the one of Naples, they used to be the residence of the various kings that have been ruling the regions during the past centuries. Keep looking to the left, now you can see much better the abbey. It's all white, by the way. Yes, and there are a lot of monks. It's, like I said, the oldest and most popular order, the Benedictines, that we have in Italy. And you could also see the tomb of Saint Benedict and the tomb of his sister. It is preserved downstairs, compared to where the altar is. See those hills and mountains? Those are all part of the famous Apennines, the famous chain of mountains that goes from north right down south of Italy. I told you that even down south we have the mountains. Even in Sicily we have the Apennines. Depending where you are located down south, you can go skiing and you can go swimming, just like up north, just like in the center. And you do have snow up on top of those mountains other time of the year. But thank God today is nice, it's sunny. We used to say it never snows in Naples, right? Well, let me tell you something, it's been snowing in Naples. And it's amazing to see sometime not snow in Naples, but the snow on top of the Vesuvio, the famous volcano. We get to see that today. Going to Pompei will have a best view of it, because you know Pompei used to be a Roman town, completely destroyed by eruption of Vesuvio volcano during 79 AD. Pompei was not the only affected one. Many other little villages, but Pompei, it's the most popular and most beautiful Roman town that has been excavated after this big disaster, you know. The Vesuvio, though it's still considered nowadays an active volcano, it's quiet at the moment, but could be erupting any minute, even today. But don't worry. Everything is under control. Using my connections, nothing is gonna happen, at least for the day today. We do have a very active volcano, which is in Catania, Sicily. You know, it is active at the moment, the Etna volcano. Well, the Vesuvio, after the 79 AD, has been erupting constantly many other times, till about 100 years ago, lastly. But the most terrible eruption was this one that I said during 79. And Pompei was not destroyed by the lava like people think. Pompei was not buried by the lava. Herculaneum was buried by the lava. Herculaneum is close to Pompei. You get a better idea during your visit. But you know, Pompei was destroyed by the ash and the fire. The fire and the ash coming from the volcano killed the people that tried to escape via the sea, because the sea was closer, right, to Pompei before, during that time. But, you know, they died anyway into the sea because it was the lava into the sea that went via the village of Herculaneum up to the water where Pompei is. So practically that's why people could not escape. They had no way to escape. A lot of archaeological reports, statues and cameo are preserved in the Archaeological Museum of Naples, which is, together with Palermo, Sicily, those two museums are the most important archaeological museums that we have in Italy. And by the way, talking about cameo, how you call it? Cameo? We do call it cameos. We still using the Greek word. Like somebody was asking me yesterday, you know, the meaning of those cameo, you see them everywhere. It goes back at the Greek time. You have to know only two among the oldest civilization they have taken over down south of Italy. Two big civilizations, Greek, and after the Greek, the Romans. But the Greek first set this area. As a matter of fact, the name Napoli in Italian comes from the Greek word Neapolis, which means new town. And then then the Romans kind of built on top of the Greek ruins. Greek theaters, for instance, are semicircular, right? It's like a semicircle. It's the Greek style of the architecture. When the Romans came and took over, they made a circle, they made their amphitheater, you know, like the Colosseum you saw yesterday. So practically, they built on top of the Greek ruins, the Romans. And this cameo is such an old tradition that the Greek brought over here in this country, this land from Greece. It's still an old tradition over here. They still make them strictly in this area. And you know where? Close by Pompei, between Naples and Pompei they are made. And it's such a difficult technique because it's made from the shell, engraved in the shell, in layers, and they make the figure with all kind of different figure. They make it transparent. They do have schools where, you know, they teach those maestros, they are artists. Some of those cameo are signed by artists. Some of those cameo are antique. In this case, they have no price. They are dreadfully expensive. Some of them are preserved at the Archaeological Museum because the Romans, there you go, kept the tradition, you know, they still wear those cameos and we still have them left over here nowadays. Though the, you know, cameo could be, like I said, something very precious and something very common because they do make the little ones nowadays. Price it's made, you know, the difference by the frame. If you have a gold frame and you know the famous 18-karat gold that we have over here, the gold frame is more expensive definitely than the silver frame. They do have though all kinds of price. And as we usually do, what I'm planning to do for you to understand better how those cameo are made, it's only something that you can attend in this area. You can see them, I mean how they are made in any other place, and you can find everywhere in Italy those cameo. But as they are produced over here, definitely here you have more selection, right, like you can figure. So during next stop, what we will do, like you say, with one bird, no, how do you say, with one stone we kill two birds, okay? Kill two birds with one stone. Okay, we have a similar saying over here. So, stopping there, you attend how those cameo are made, and there you use technology. They do have, it's very large place, this factory, it's listed to your guidebooks because I've seen it in all the, you know, Michelin or Frommers, because it is the oldest one of the area. It's called APA, you will see. I'm sure you can find it. So it's got such a big reputation, they will show you how they make them, even though the workers will not be working today because it's Sunday today, don't forget, and they also celebrate their Sundays. Technology is going to be the highlight over there. Don't forget to use it. They have very nice, good, clean ones. So they have plenty. That's another reason why I want to stop there, because you will see in the area they don't believe much in good technology. Now Pompei, the entire area, is being left like it used to be 20 years ago. Nothing changes over there. It's on their philosophy. You will see the abandoned dogs in the main square across from the entrance of the archaeological section. The stand, the same guy squeezing the lemon. You can have very nice fresh lemon and orange juice. The little stands selling books, and the only one public technology in the area, okay? That's why I said use that one at the factory when we stop. And there it's absolutely not as busy, definitely, like you can imagine, as the one in Pompeii. By the Romans, used to be called the Campania Felix. Latin means happy countryside, which means a fertile countryside, because since the Roman time, agriculture was an important thing over here.
Consider.
By the way, this region, like I'm sure you know, is also the hometown of our national monument, Sophia Loren, you know, the national Italian monument. She was from Pozzuoli, close to Naples, but not in Naples. As I said, Naples is only one, then a lot of little villages in the surroundings. Gina Lollobrigida was from Latium, south than Rome. She was not from Rome. She was Frosinone, the area. It's south than Rome. She's still living. She's still alive, just like Sophia Loren. Though it's completely restored, has been recently having another restoration, big restoration. It's limestone quarry here to the left, no marble. I told you marble is also, it is all part of Caserta, some of the industry over here, but the most industrial is really Naples. Then next, now you have the center of Caserta, and if you look carefully, you can see the huge big palace right in the middle. Shortly, just keep looking to your left. There you go, you can see it now, and just keep looking. Now I can see it, huh? Well, among all the others, big one with the reddish facade, now you can see much better the Royal Palace. It's a huge big palace in the middle. And it's a museum, so it's a huge big museum. Same style, we will get to see the Royal Palace in Naples. Have time to use technical rooms, and then you go to the exhibition room. In order, you have the
Your attention for a brief introduction.
See, today is Sunday, there are no fabrics working. You cannot see the curve, but well, I'll try to give you an idea. Now, see, here we have some seashells, which are the material that we use to make cameos. Now, these shells are not local, but they come from Africa and from the Bahamas. So to make a cameo out of the shell, the fabric cuts a piece, which is glued on a tool like this. See, this is a piece of shell. Glued on top of this tool. Cover starts with drawing a sketch on top of the shell. A sketch of what he wants to reproduce. Then with a set of chisels like this, he cuts into the shell. He carves by hand. This is a cameo. As you can see, the cameo has two colors, you see? Two colors because each one of these shells has two layers which are of different colors. So we cut the figure in the outer layer of the shell. In this case, the white figure is cut in the white part, which is the outer part of the shell. And we keep carving until we reach and uncover the inner layer of the shell, which is of a different color and which is left as a background of the cameo. See? So that means two colors but one solid piece of shell. Now, as this is an individual production, one cover makes all the work from start to finish. And the work is entirely made by him. What determines the quality and the value of cameo is not very much the size of the color, but mainly the quality of the workmanship. Now, this is a technique in a few words. I hope you got the idea. Now, this way, please. Show. Second layer of the shell.
Should do this? Yeah. Vind je het best? Even als ik er nou 5 op aan.
The exit, like I said, will be down below. And this is where I will meet you when the snack bars, but I mean nothing else. So the real town is where we are going to have lunch.
Cherry for you.
Buongiorno, buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Okay, follow Cherry.
Pompei, Pompei. Now, why are they restoring the ruins? That's always funny.
Digging for more, huh? I know. I thought about leaving my jacket on, but no, I didn't want it. No, I figured for the sweatshirt. Yeah.
Miles away from here. It's only a big cloud in front of it, but it's coming out now. 7 miles away from here. And also in front of us we can see beautiful vegetation. So we can realize how Pompeii appeared before they started the excavation. So probably down below here are still some villas to be uncovered. Okay, we walk a little further up.
Beautiful. Ooh, this is fun.
Obviously was facing the sea. 2,000 years ago, the sea was closer to the walls of Pompeii. Now the sea is seated about 1.5 miles away. After the eruption of 79 that buried this town, we had about an 80 eruption. So the whole area here was filled in the volcanic material and the sea went back. Streets are completely paved with irregular pieces of lava rock. Originally the town was built on a lava stream of prehistoric times, so it was easy to recover this type of material. Also the Appin Way, the Appin Road that goes from Rome to Brindisi, paved by the Romans, was made with the same volcanic rock from the Vesuvius.
Oops, I'm so sorry.
Coming, when the moon was on, they reflected the moonlight. They illuminated street and sidewalks, street lights, cat sides of today that we find on motor roads all over. So what do they produce here? Commercial town. Very good wine on the Vesuvius side, olive oil on Sorrento side, factories to make wool cloth, linen cloth, ceramic also, like vase, brick, roof tiles, and many minor artisanal and commercial activities. Porta Marina, the way of salt. They produce in Pompei the famous garum, a spicy sauce like a caviar. Beautiful flowers and also perfume for the ladies. But the major industry remain agriculture. Outside the walls of the town, this valley was called Campania Felix, thanks to the volcanic ashes and the mild climate also in winter. In winter here in the valley we never miss snow. So they produce many things at the same time. And all these agricultural products were brought in from the marketplace to Castiava and were sent all over.
Camera.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the...
Away from the station of software.
Marble and stone, travertine, all white. On the left, we can still see a double office of color, Doric and above Ionic. Above classic corridor, the ambulatorium. In a rainy day, Pompeian people could walk around this colonnade because it ran on three sides of the square. The both sides in front of us like a time gold, closed by the temple of Jupiter, the king of God. And the
Ingjerde Neuer City nach Visper, weil dieser Ausbruch.
On the south side, the brick was the city hall. Where the administrators of the town, every year they won an election. Also in those days they were afraid of corruption. Geology says in a dome, sleeping place, but it's not there. Because in the area, so we are very optimistic, which they're carrying what we did this morning, I give him a call. So please don't forget to be here 100 years from now at this point because I'll be waiting for you. Center of the town, about 2 miles square, 63 acres, but the suburban villas reach to 66 acres. Elsewhere we found part of a theater, an amphitheater, of a guards, but here we have the whole town. Maybe here we can enter into the infinity of it. A beautiful marble portal, all marble of Carrara, all carved by hand. Everything was done with Black and Decker. The portal introduced the temple of Eumachia. Behind it was a wall market. They also used to have auction sellable products. We must consider that already in those days, Pompei was in commerce with all the Mediterranean and the Orient. Also in the Roman period, the commercial language was Greek language. Children at school at the same time used to study Greek and Latin. At the end of this market was a lady with the name of Eumachia. It's written here the name. Eumachia means good, great lady. In effect, she was. If we consider that during Greek period, the women were almost segregated. They lived apart from men. We recall from what we read that the Genia Cheo, the quarter reserved for the ladies. But she was so able to put together some sort of union, corporation of fullones. Most of the precious things that they find here in Pompei and Aroli are kept there in Naples. See, everything is exposed here. Not only they go on with the excavation, but also to maintain what we have. So this restoration continues. Of course, there are also many when they started the excavation, they took away now give great importance in the ancient monuments. The employed man was not considered the great damage that they caused in the ancient monuments. Now in a moment we are going to enter the space here at the Marcelli. Beyond here was possible to buy almost everything. Fruit, vegetables, scenery, meat, poultry. Everything was beautifully integrated all around the walls that corresponded then to the Veloce shop. In the center, a circular dome, a large tank to sell a live fish. And inside here, closer, we are going to see also plaster casts of people that perished in Europe. The system of plaster cast was employed for the first time around 1860 on all the organic substance, as human beings, animals, wooden objects. The bodies of these people trapped in the little ashes of a field that at the time of the eruption was woman down. So around the human they injected liquid plaster of Paris. When the plaster was on after hours, remaining in what it was once. But now as we are going to go closer, we can still see the skull, teacher, in relative bones, and closer is the camera, the expression that is. The points is wrong. Macellum.
Rice, curry and everything.
So we'll come in.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the shops one after another, what they used to sell here. Bread and fishes and chicken and rabbit and wine and olive oil. After 2,000 years, they still left yellow plastic boxes there, you see? The original one. And at the center here, a circular dome, a large tank to sell alive fish.
Oh, I don't know. Is that what he said?
Where are you?
So this is the plaster cast that was explained in Europe outside. But here we can see Saint is originally sculpted for his teeth, being ran for clothes. And closer as to catch the expression on the face, the man was asphyxiated and then buried. And this was a young slave man. Young man because he has very good teeth, a large belt on the stomach, which was a symbol of slaves. In those days they used to have children and no candies, only honey. And you can tell also from the body that people in those days were short of. When we go to an archaeological museum, you can see statues of 10 meters of people, just like today. Strong soldiers to live 70, 80, 90 years old. But normally they were shorter and they lived less. We must consider that still with the beginning of the century, the average life was only 50 years old. Only later we live over 83, especially you ladies a little longer than us. We're going to be
Naturally.
Again you can see foot bones, fingernails, his teeth.
I only have 3 more pictures left in this.
This was a free man wearing a coat.
What am I going to do? I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm going to. I got to get there first.
And below the bodies here you can see the pomace. They buried the town of Pompei. Ashes and pomace was more. Very light material. And the roof on top of us here was reconstructed like it was. On the outside, terracotta roof tiles, beams towards below the beams, wooden straw, plaster and decoration was on the inside. And the paintings that you see on the wall are all original. What they used to sell as I was telling you. Bread and fishes and chicken and rabbit and wine and olive oil. And in a little while I'll show you the best paintings of Pompei and I'll tell you the technique how all this was done.
Yep, that's the slave belt he was talking about, yeah.
He does look upset, doesn't he?
I'd be upset if I were dying.
That was deep, yeah. You didn't look so happy, yeah.
Look around and then we go on the same way that we went in.
Hi. Wow, they had the lips and the nose.
This is a woman.
That's a slave boy.
I love the painting on the wall.
Ok, Perillo, andiamo.
It's amazing looking at it.
How in the columns where they didn't have the pieces, they used brick, so you'd be able to tell.
Andiamo in giunta di Salcoivilla, one for each month of the year, and then from Capri to all over the Roman Empire. It was a pretty massive version. So he chooses a voluntary exile the island and took all the precaution not to be killed. One in fila, in tre gallery, to go into the Bubrato, into the diamond, and then on top of the arch, the equestrian statue of Impero Tiberius. Leaving now the center, we can know that the streets are disaster because of time. Originally, everything was much smoother, more cheaper like here, but streets were crowded in the center. And the second arch in front of us was this.
Then I got thinking maybe you wanted the wall too. No. It's mostly just the two of you.
What it does, you have a
Always with the second floor, as I was telling you, right there into the wall, and actually rectangular holes, one by bricks. So we can realize from one wall to another, beams over the second floor on top. Through the shop, wooden stairs, brought on a flat, and it was all. It was not a middle class, either rich or poor. So 50% were rich with a beautiful house, beautiful villa. 30% were slaves, 20% with a small commercial activity. The shops normally have sliding doors. One could open door the inside, then one piece by piece, to come here and open door. The second one, the third one, sliding door. The wood obviously from today, as I was telling you. So, Terme del Foro. Prego.
Prego means you cannot forgot that one.
Let's go.
Oh, prego, I thought it was andiamo.
Excuse me, you're welcome.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Gotta write, I have to write this stuff down.
Step up.
Careful. Watch your step.
Chairs are left over.
Yeah, right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the first room here was the auditorium, a waiting room that was also used as an undressing room. Always a Greek etymology. Consider that originally Romans were farmers, were shepherds, were fishermen, were soldiers, politician men. Greeks before the Romans were great masters, great philosophers, great artists. So today we can securely say that Roman culture is mainly a Greek culture. Our culture today is mainly Jewish, Greek, Roman culture. We were polytheistic, today we are monotheistic. So our auditorium we're waiting. The floor is the original floor in mosaics. All these pebbles, one by one, put together. Around the room there are little benches in concrete where the people sit and wait for them to go to the different rooms. And all the rooms there wooden close to the postal clothes. The whole room was decorated in stucco and frescoes. In the corner here, the cold bars, frigid area. They used to come here in the afternoon to meet friends and speak on intelligent things and things of commerce, great social life. They sit down into the room, move around. The room around was decorated with benches to the side, clothes everywhere. With your hand now, you should pass the line, like you are doing. Shut the window. With your hand, below there you can see a face of Neptune, god of sea, protector of the public guards. In every public place and private home, there is a god patron, god protector. As I was telling you, they were polytheistic. There are about 30 gods. They think that one will be an offer for everyone. To be secure, there's about 30 of them. This case, Neptune, god of sea. Still a painter. On the ashes that goes, lava, when it comes out, there's fire, 3,000 destroys everything. The portion of Pompei that was going buried with ashes and ruins and now destroyed. Come in, please. And here we have the elegant tepidarium, a room with warm temperature, a steam room. This room though was still heated with the archaic form of a brazier in bronze that we have here, 5 plates, all in bronze. Around the place of bricks in the center of the fire at Wheatwood. Around here, instead of columns as a decoration, we can see statues. Are called telamoni, like athletes of mythology. They support above their heads the weight of the architrave, forming some sort of closet, where it was possible to deposit objects, towels, essence of perfume, because this was also the ideal place for massage. On the side of above, the volta came in for the excessive waste, engendered with very light colors of blue and violet. In my house, after 20 years, the flat plaster came down. It took 2,000 years still. That mine, mother lost the rainbow grease that we lost from the comments. Little bit things Now in a moment, we are going to enter the last room, the Calidarium. The group is there, so we'll tell you what you're going to see. The Calidarium, still called the original marble of Carrara, but 10 people at the time could sit inside and have a hot dog. What is important for me to say, already 2,000 years ago in the next room, there's a central heating system. Outside the wall, it was a corridor with a prefurium, a large stove and boiler to do hot.
I took a picture of this because that's like
Seven hundred years Come in, little more, please. Come away from the doorway, please. Thank you. Thank you. There's an opening, so we can realize that this floor is completely suspended from the ground. Hypocausto or hypocausto. So the steam went below the floor. When also around the walls, on the left side here, double walls, concaveazzi, big bricks. The walls are simply made with little channels, riccilato. So when the info vehicle formed in appella reclinano di other people, but through the channels slide on side walls and then underground. Still up above 5 openings, 3 large space windows. In case it was really one, they could be opened and the terminal room. Predisposed like a clock for the morning, midday, afternoon. In those days already had glass, it was not transparent, it was most of the time chopped glass or opaque. And come closer to see the fountain here. This fountain is made of one single piece of marble. In the center it was a jet of fresh water, intermittent. When they needed it, they came here and they refreshed themselves. On the edge of the lateral left is in bronze engraved in the marble, the name of whom donated the basin to the public gods, politician men of Pompei, employed public money, but to show the community they operate well, they left the name and the price paid for the fountain. So at the end we can read cost 5,250 sesterzi, politician men, a donation to the town, and they forgot to take off the price, a gift with the price on it. Greek Latin men and all the people who speak very good Greek and Latin. Above the stepping stone without wedding shoes and sandals. And on both sides of the second stone, very clear on the ground, we can see tracks of wheels with the continuous passage of chariot, the engraved rods very deep one into the lava stone. Shows us exactly the commercial character of this town. Chariot used to have always 2 wheels and 2 animals, donkeys, mule, horses. Always 2 and 2. So in front of each wheel, between the blocks, is the cross, also and also like the bigger to say. And up there, little temple dedicated to Fortuna Augusta. Everything aesthetically beautiful. Everything was either covered in marble or stucco and decoration.
They probably bring them with them.
Beautiful gardens sometimes, beautiful flowers. Yes, that's what I say. After the 2,000 years we went
Yeah, that's fine. Well, they do get used to their, they can tell. My cat.
and the water evaporates and it has to be stored. More cheaper. This stretch was adjusted securely. In shops, if you have a chamber bars, very early in the morning, they used to press around and clean out the bars. I was telling you the major industry of the area was agriculture. Securely in those days, they had no chemical fertilizing like we have today. And sometimes we poison the land with too much fertilizer. Today they want to produce more emulsion at all. No big industry, no automobile, so the water was good. But Romans were very wise. They knew that the source of epidemic was not having pure water. The first thing they did, when they built a town, they built an aqueduct. In Pompei, there was a high grade of hydraulic engineering that vases communicating each other. For a natural pendant that they turn from north to south by dropping down, there are constant pressure of water in every public fountain and private house. To find this system codified, we have to wait the middle of 17th century. The great French physician, mathematician, philosopher Pascal, that he codified vases communicating each other, which already Greeks and Romans used to have. But the greatest mistake it was used, water pipes made of lead. Lead was soft to use. Carrying a sheet, they used to round it up, and the divided edges, they used to overlap and hammer down. Today we know that it was the greatest mistake, because lead leaves a terrible poison. So recent study proved that many people suffer from lead poisoning. About this, there is a great article, National Geographic magazine, May 1984. But securely wine was worse than the water, because we know that water contains always a high percentage of calcium in it. So at time from the inside these pipes, an incrustation of calcium. So at the end, the water did not touch any more the lead but the calcium. Instead of the wine they used to drink, they used to prepare in larger containers insulated with lead. With the acid of grapefruit are really a terrible, terrible drink. And sometimes there's glass and dishes made of pewter, especially in England. Today we have to be very, very careful also with lead crystal. Drink wine or whiskey from the lead crystal, it's okay. But if you one whiskey, then the drink can be very, very dangerous. So ladies, in case that in your house you have lots of Bohemian crystal, and you want to get rid of it, give me a call, I'll come to pick up everything for free. Okay, in 2 minutes we are going to see this water pipe, and then we are going to enter one of the most interesting villas of Pompei. We are going to see together the house of Betty Brothers, two merchants of wine and olive oil. As we are going to enter this villa on the right side, we are going to see an obscene figure of the Caprios. Obscene because it is membrane scale. On one side it is gold to say worth so much gold as his weight, and shows us exactly the materialistic aspect of the spiritual life in Pompei. But for the Romans, it was only a normal thing, because as we know, they were pagans, but they died in life. For them was more important the glory of the country because of the soldiers. You don't have to be their friend, for the rest it was a normal thing. So these phallic symbols were placed in front of entrances against the evil eye. Still today, especially here in southern Italy, many people are very superstitious. They still wear little on in corridor gold chain around the neck. But in those days they used the phallic symbol because it's a symbol of fertility and nature. For them it was not an erotic thing, not a pornographic thing, but only an apotropaic symbol. Again, the etymology derives from the Greek apotropaico, which means against evil eye. They call it the malocchio. Vai, Vassan. È fermo. Non ti preoccupare, vai. Grazie.
These things are so... the view looks good with it.
What if the chariot bang against the wall?
Oh,
the
yeah.
guardrails of today.
The guardrails.
Really? Think of everything.
They thought of everything, yeah, definitely.
Pipes, you see? One moment, please. Original water pipes made of lead, you see?
Oh, yeah.
What are these?
17th century, you said?
Excuse me?
17th, when was the original?
Well, it was built during the Caesar Augustus period, yes? First century before Christ. So, ladies and gentlemen, water pipes here, made of lead. The lead did not came from Italy, from Elba, or either from Sardinia. All the lead came from England. Julius Caesar was searching for silver in England. He found lead, he employed lead into the Roman world. And there in the center you see a chariot left behind a catalytic muffler. You see right there? Looks like an old field. Probably a filter for the water. And passing by the corner of this pilaster attached on the wall, you can see the original carbonate of calcium. At all these pilasters, a tank in pressure with the water. So sometimes the water fell, came out of the tank, came on the wall and left incrustation of carbonate or calcium that really saved these people. Right here, passing by, you can see it on the right, in the corner. We go left. Hello. Went on top of each floor, and the first floor with a larger diameter. Then when the water came down and went up again, it was a smaller diameter, so it could shoot up. But that all the way up, the brick construction was the major castellum acqua. There the water was concentrated at one point. And then from pipes ran about the first floor of each house. The water was very... In the entrance you are going to see this figure of Priapus, as I was telling you, against evil eye. Extremely fantastic and real. Everything not allowed to see it. Only lately they put glass in front of it, which is more fair, so everybody can see. There you go. There we go. He has a scale in his hand. He's waiting gold, yes? Great imagination. God protectors of dark nature.
That's in all those
We
postcards.
have to see life on the ground. A show off, yes. These were the men before my hour. I really was seriously Ladies and gentlemen, here we can still catch the light and shadow with typical Roman villa because the roof has been totally reconstructed. Right here in the atrium, the roof had a great slope toward the center with the central opening. Through the original gargoyle that we have there in terracotta, the rainwater came down in the lower basin, impluvium on the ground. From the impluvium, the water was getting went into the garden. On both sides, 2 single bedrooms, not so large, and only the essential thing. A bed, a trunk and a chair, and it was all, no excessive furniture. Incumbents, beautiful paintings on the walls. The room here was to receive the guests of the family, the tablinum was called. And next to the entrance, 2 small chambers for the doorkeepers. Before you go on both sides, you see the glass here, 2 money boxes, one for each brothers. Consider that in Pompei, most of the time, we don't find them, but each church, they want to spend the time. There's money, there's abuse, they want to rescue them, they didn't pay from their heart. What is a really a question in the beginning is the decoration is actually not good. Okay, another group, and then I'll complete this. I'd like to show you how to solve this. About 7 miles away from here. Also buried in the same eruption of 79. But in Ercolano was not buried with ashes and bones, but more lava. There we can see the water, like a carbonite wood. Perillo, Perillo. So in the corner, a little stairs brought on the second floor. This will be the servants' sleeping quarter. In front of us here, a shrine, a temple with two lares, two gods, protectors of the house. Like the other one, a little box with incense. And then below we can see a snake, a serpent, a sacred symbol for them, what's called Aga da Demone. It symbolizes the continuity of life after death. Still today in some Oriental religion, they believe that the snake is immortal, can lose skin but not alive. The famous Greek doctor Aesculapius is always represented as snake near, a symbol of medicine, a pure called drugstore or better pharmacy.
Perché siamo contro mano. No, devo vedere che non è che non cambia, ma appunto. Questi loro vengono da me e via tutto.
Come on, the Christmas card.
Oh my goodness.
They think highly of themselves.
Sempre lui.
Sempre lui. Sempre il pisellone.
Sì. In stato.
Sometimes villas larger than this, but also two gardens. We have a house of a lawyer in there. And this is the miracle of Pompei. These paintings, they don't have 2 years, not 200, but 2,000 years, and they are still intact. Because most of these paintings were done in fresco. They painted while the plaster on the wall was still damp, was still wet. They employ natural earth color from stone, so the stucco absorbed the color, and this is the result. Then when this technique is well done, the paintings remain indelible for thousands of years. Leonardo da Vinci, a great artist and a great scientist in the Last Supper in Milano, he made some sort of tent around the wall. Unfortunately, the painting today is almost completely gone. But Michelangelo, in the Sistine Chapel, he made a fresco technique. Michelangelo was the opposite of Leonardo Raffaello, a very introverted. This was the idea that it was not so large and try to simulate the whole things like that. The symbol of wealth, the best quality was extracted from the mercury, and this is how they used to dine. As you remember seeing the historical movie 1950s like Ben Hur, reclining on bed called a triclinium on 3 sides of the room all around. The central area was open, so the servants could come in to bring food. A musician here in the garden, they used to entertain the guests. Always they used to have guests. So ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately the central paintings are lost. I can see the beautiful Pompei red, the time made them more beautiful, a symbol of wealth. The beautiful frieze on black background, the cubistic, the chemical work that is really in art in Pompei. Miniaturistic painting but analyzed in everything else. Flower cupids. And it goes, they bring flowers, they make glitter and they sell flowers. The flowers, they made essence of perfume and product of pharmacy. The lady sitting in the center checking the perfume and all like that. A chariot prays at the sockets. The witness a palm of victory on the shoulder. The last one, obviously, is the loser. There's a cube with this again, with the little arm going like this. A beautiful barcante, looks like it was painted by Botticelli. She has the cymbal in the hand, a musical instrument, like Apollo with the Cedra. And here we have goldsmith cubits, working silver and gold underneath, peacocks everywhere, weavers, builders of clothes and irons, all activities they used to do in Pompei, laundries. In the sky, beautiful couples like Bacco e Arianna, Perseo e Andromeda. And here a cubit speaking grape, a Bacchic procession, cubit selling wine. The activity of these two brothers, landowners and merchants of wine. The floor is the original floor in mosaic with the pendant floor is gone. So insomma, from here they could overlook at the wonderful scenographic garden. And here there are two artists they have spent, but we have something really beautiful and valuable in your house. Guido Baccelli was the archaeologist that restored the villa about 100 years ago and gives an example of resurrection of private life in Pompei. See, one thing is to see the paintings of Pompei at the Metropolitan on the walls to tarnish the beautiful decoration. So the villa, like many others, were insulated with lead. It's one of the damn course, and they were there. Some of these on paper also you can frame afterwards also, they're very nice. And very inexpensive. It was like inside rooms. Consider this was done 50 years ago, it's falling down, yes? But was better than the old system of beams of wood. And the wood is well insulated against humidity, can last much longer than 50 years. In the corner here we can see the valve to shut the water, the tap to shut the water. One of the first of history, you see right here in bronze. Another one there by the pillar stump. And also underground the original water pipes made of lead. Consider in the Middle Age all this was lost. And so ladies and gentlemen, when we started the tour I told you that today when we find a roof or when we find a second floor is part of the reconstruction. Through the beautiful perspective here we can visualize how the second floor used to be. And sometimes beautiful roof gardens with plants and flowers on top of them. And look at the figure Hercules baby. Looks like a little statue. It's three-dimensional. Consider all the Middle Age, almost 1,200 years. Everything was flat, Hieratic, Byzantine, bidimensional. The whole passed from Rome to Turkey, to Byzantium, to Constantinople. Everything became flat, bidimensional, abstract, spiritual, if you want. So to recover again perspective and three-dimension again, we have to wait after Giotto, with Masaccio, Donatello, Brunelleschi in the Renaissance. Securely in Pompei, we don't find great artists. None of and it was a room for summer, to relax, for the guests of the family. So they relax in here, reading, look at the wonderful garden, because there used to be folding doors. We can see where the doors used to be folding.
That entire thing was a house that was 9,000 square feet.
Well, with gardens and everything, yeah.
Like paintings with a pinacoteca or Capo di Monde, and there were wonderful paintings from the Middle Age to the modern art. And consider that there was about 10 Tizzi, Caravaggio, very important paintings, this very important museum. The house, well, it's not the largest one. Well, that one could be 1,000 meters square. In effect, consider that we are double the size. Depends on the rest of the family, in effect, but we are much larger than that. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you can see a tower guard for soldiers. The town of Pompei at walls, they measure a little over 3 kilometers. Every once in a while, a tower guard for soldiers. Like one we can see there at the end Tower of Mercury, are the 13s around the walls. And then at the end, each important city gate, like the sea gate, are the 7 leaders Pompei in this town. So 14 watchtower guards and 8 gates. Of course, Romans in the last period no more fear of foreign invasion. So they start to build also villas outside walls. On the west side, there should be villas with terraces at different levels, facing the entire Gulf of Naples. Nobody was so foolish to attempt to invade a Roman town. And then on the left side, you see the cypress tree, and then on the right side, a pine tree, the Mediterranean pine tree. And the Vesuvius is coming out. And on every street corners, we find these public fountains. During the Roman period, most of the houses had current water. shops at not. That's why we find these public fountains. This is an example made in lava stone. We see how well they are set. And then on both sides, instead to put cement, liquid lead, so there will be no vibration of the blocks. In the center here, there is a face of mercury. From the mountain, water came down. It's interesting to see also hollows where the people leave their hand to drink, with a continuous touching and rubbing all the way at the same point, they form this one. Left side, right side. Right side is always deeper, just like today, more right hand to the left one. Water pebble. Then they employ marble pebbles, most of all in black and white, and here we find the last phase, that with the of pieces of glass, seashells, color the marble, becomes polychrome like a painted thing. The margin inside and outside are decorated with seashells. And then and the water came down and achieved the colors of the paper. They allowed to create this theatrical scenographic effect inside these houses. And behind the fountain, around the walls, they painted beautiful landscape with great perspective, very large colors in blue to create an illusion of depth.
Yeah, yeah, but it's called tragedy in comedy.
Oh, no, I wouldn't get that far.
Stronger. They cut always wine with water and they sweeten it with honey in it, bitter and sweet. Then of course there's also red wine, new wine, aromatic wine, all sort of food that used to eat, a specific type of wine like today. Sometimes cold drinks are directly kept into the counter in 2 vases of terracotta. As you well know, champagne, spumante, white wine, we can drink cold. But red wine has to be never cold, but cool from the cellar. And then in winter there's also a boiler to make also warm wine, vin brûlé. It was also a larger outdoor. Trattoria, and a very good spot across it from the public bars. Once in a while from the inside there with the cellulare they called here. Hello, send us lacrima twisti. While being in the afternoon, a long aperitif before they went to die. 120 bars. They have an historic man, a Roman historic man, Columella. Tell us they used to drink about 5 liters of wine a day, 1 gallon of wine. Good thing they cut always wine with water, so 40-50% was water, but still 1 gallon. So that's why the life expectancy was only 35-40 years old. Okay, now we go up, we keep on the sidewalk, and we're going to see the front of the village. The door. Right here. And this is known as Casa del Poeta Tragico, the house of tragic poet, because in one of the rooms on the floor they found a polychrome mosaic representing dramatic actors preparing themselves to go on the stage. But this way fantasy is also known as the house of Glauco. The English writer, Sir Edward Lytton, that wrote a beautiful book, Last Days of Pompei, one of the Glauco, the leading man of the book, leave the villa.
It means beware of the dog.
Okay,
Put down food.
Ooh, it's a maze. Yeah, very easy. And then I have telly and zoom and wide right here.
Okay.
Hurts my wrist after a little while.
This arm's really.
Yeah, it's getting some muscles.
So they counted in Pompei about 20 bakeries. They produce lots of bread and is bring bread also in towns around this area. Bakers receive wheat from the government and then they had to grind the wheat by themselves And this type of mills, grinders, they are combined of two different pieces of lava rock, a static part and a turning part. A cone di this coming cup, double cone empty, meta-catillus, and both sides here two heavy branches came out. With here the mule, the top stone was turned all around. Above here was placed with to grind and the flush slowly came down below the container where I'm standing. The oven that you here, classical oven that we still use today for the pizza. Because they used to put the fire directly into the oven all around. Around this area, another baker, Modestus. He put the bread into the oven. And then around 1 o'clock he had to escape because of the eruption. The man was very intelligent, he ran away very quickly because he left the bread in the oven. Around 120 years ago, when the place it was uncovered, they had a great surprise to find about 80 pieces of bread in the oven. Of course it was well baked. And so we know exactly how it was. Rounded like this, divided above in 8 pieces. And some of these breads today are exhibited in the museum. So bread, cheese, wine, olive oil was always very inexpensive, cost always very little because it was locally produced. But they had no pizza yet. They had no tomatoes. Tomatoes came from America, as you well know. The first pizza was only done about 120 years ago in Naples. It was called a pizza margherita, after the Queen of Italy. She was living in Naples, and the chef put on the pizza margheritas the colors of the Italian flag. Mozzarella, tomatoes, and basil. The 3 colors of the flag, white, red, and green. But really, also today, if you want to taste a good pizza or good bread, it has to be done in this type of wooden oven, because everything bakes very slowly and the taste is totally different. Also, 20 bakeries they produce here. So the bread was really very costly too, like the wine. Of course, also for the wine, if we spend more, the wine was even always better.
Buongiorno,
Adesso, matrimonio, tutte le cose stanno lì.
Posto c'è un guattativo, non è questo, ma quando sto a portare marino per brutto per la prima imbatto.
Sì.
Basta soppilare.
Vabbè, ogni tanto. So ladies and
Back in the forum.
the first entrance here was a public toilet. The marble comes from the Negropolis, the city of death outside the walls of the town. A tip-snake young woman with a large belt on the stomach, and unfortunately we can see she was also expecting a baby. By the wall there, a cast of a tree. And here, the fowl cannot breathe the poisonous gas of a burning slug. Another plaster cast of a man with a weight. When famous people was over-breathing rooming system, standard weights, and the operation was quickly down. But the best artifacts, of course, are kept in Naples Museum. You see, they're posted everywhere.
Non è poi il tempo di essere eletti e tutti hanno fatto investimenti. Vi faccio vedere le cose che hanno offerto.
Pollo. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was telling you that during the Roman period, the town of Pompei was dedicated to three Roman temples. And here we have the statue of Apollo. It's a copy. On the other side, the bust of Diana. He's stretching his bow. Yeah. So, pre-Roman temple. From the stone, you can realize also this. The archaeologists also analyzing the stone, they go back to time. It's about great tufas of blood before the Romans. Yes. Fortunately, we're not enough to visit the rest. At the end of this road here, at the end of the road, we find the amphitheater. The amphitheater of Pompei is one of the oldest of the Roman walls. The one of Pompei was built 100 years before. Yes, you can see here the sea, if you look well, the line of the sea, and in front of us we have also beautiful mountains. This is called the Amalfi Drive. It starts from Sorrento to Salerno, like a French coast. On this side the mountain, they face the Gulf of Naples, on the other side the Gulf of Salerno. And we have beautiful little towns like Positano, Amalfi, Ravello on top of the mountains, between mountain and sea really. Wonderful coast. We need a day excursion from Sorrento to Salerno. And we are going to go now to the meeting place Hotel Vittoria. Right here you see the white building. Nadia is there waiting for you. And there the group will go into the center of new town of Pompei, where there is your restaurant, yes? We have a new town of Pompei with a beautiful church, and your restaurant is right there in the center. One of the very little...
So well.
I mean, I have more film, but look, the last one I used. That's good.
Oh, yes, he said yes. Because usually buses are not permitted here, you see, but I said we were going to have lunch over there at this restaurant.
It's New Pompei.
So this is a famous restaurant in the area, an elegant restaurant, the best one available, I would say, Pompei, because we don't have much choice otherwise, like you saw in the archaeological area. See, you can leave the stuff what you don't need to take along with you, you follow.
Here it is.
Children here have the most beautiful clothes. You know this? I mean...
Here it is.
Look at all this stuff.
Story.
We're leaving in like 10 minutes.
They don't give you time to look at the...
That's what we're doing now. Honey, let's go. everywhere that haven't really belonged. They don't have a mouse problem. I'd rather have a cat problem than a mouse problem.
Didn't bring our own.
What? Right, yeah.
I wasn't even recording.
She gave you the, well, then the evil eye doesn't count.
But she doesn't know this.
Like during summertime to me, after parking, 100 or 100 degrees for 1 hour. So that's why I told you that that's really the best time to come. Even though you have to put up some time with rain and some cold weather. You remember you arrived with the snow in Milan, and now you have the sun. Don't forget that kind bike with air conditioning, and that's why I have, many more problems. They are asking me over here, the girls, they want to know. I have one farm in America, yes. New York City, Manhattan. and even if it's not cheaper, you must buy once you walk inside. Too much. Industrial section, we are driving by at moment. And to the left, there's the industrial section.
I think they'd smell really bad there.
Neapolitan flag. You couldn't be labeled without it. That's very picturesque aspect. And see the way they hang the washing from one balcony to the other? Keep looking to the right, please, because you can see only over here these aspects. You'll see more as we drive along. The Port Line area is the most commercial, popular area. I mean, it's not a residential area. But this is where a lot of people die. Look at it to the right. Yes, they do have washing machines. Obviously, drying machines also, but none of Neapolitan. Look over here to the right. See? From one building to another, across the street. I mean, none of, if you're really Neapolitan, you would never use the drying machine for your washing. They have to dry outside in the pollution. That's the way it is. As well known as the City of Castles. This is called in front of you the Angioine Castle or Castello Maschio Angioino. It was built during the 13th century under the order of King Charles I from Anjou. That's why the Angioine Castle. It's only 2 for stone, except the entrance, which is in marble. We get to see that next. This statue in the middle of the square to the left, it's dedicated, represents one of the very last king of Italy, Victor Emmanuel II. Now keep looking to your left, you can see the entrance, which is in marble, the entrance of the castle, the Angioine Castle, which is nowadays a civic museum of Naples. Next, we have another important museum, which is the Royal Palace. You remember driving by Caserta, I told you about the Royal Palace, the residence of the various kings that have been ruling Naples during the last centuries. Here to the left, this is part of the Royal Palace, and the gardens here to the left that you can also visit. They are beautiful. Let's say if you get a ticket for the Royal Palace, you can also visit the gardens. This entire palace is a museum, and you need a lot of time to visit the dome. Look how many rooms in the palace. We'll drive around so you get a better idea. I'd say that when the king and his wife would find together, they had no problem to sleep in separate rooms. So what do you think? So many. And then here we have neoclassic style. Because we have the second important theater of Italy after La Scala of Milan that we saw. Keep looking left. This is the entrance of San Carlo Theatre, neoclassic style, which I mean 19th century. Looky to the right, please. This is the gallery. Now you remember the gallery we saw in Milan? This was built after the one of Milan, also neoclassic style, to the right. It's called the Gallery Hubert I. Pretty much alike the one of Milan. And next, now I'd say we are really in the heart of Naples. This fountain was a thanks given to the city of Naples. Practically is a modern fountain, as well known as the artichoke fountain. Guess why? Huh? Looks like an artichoke. And in front of us we have the pedestrian area. We'll drive by it. I'll show you better. We can't drive through because that's strictly for pedestrians. To the left, this is the Gambrino's Coffee House. It's their Harry's bar, let's say. Important personalities of the present and past. At least once they stop over here at the Gambrino's. And still nowadays it's an old-fashioned, very exclusive cafe of Naples. In front it's pedestrian area, strictly for pedestrians, very busy area weekly days, because there are all kind of shops over there. Today, obviously, Sunday and also siesta time, very important in the area. Please keep looking, pay attention, because I can't stop over here, and this is only for pedestrians. To the right, you see this church. It's called St. Francis from Paola. It's the main church of Naples. Also, neoclassic style. You see, reminds you the dome, the Pantheon of Rome. Have you been to the Pantheon? And the columns of St. Peter. When I say neoclassic, I mean 19th century. So you see the architecture is such a big mixture. But this is brand new for us. This style, St. Francis from Paola. What is more interesting, I'd say, is this facade of the palace. That's the entrance of the Royal Palace, of the museum. Those statues in front of the palace represent the various kings that have been ruling Naples during the past centuries. And this facade is more interesting because it was first designed during the 17th century. Never completed until the early 18th, I would say. But the responsible architect of the facade is our famous Italian architect, Fontana. So the facade of the palace, of this building that you see, it's really more interesting. As you see, the square is completely closed to traffic. Very often they have concerts, they have meetings in the square. Especially during summertime, because it's open air, you see. A lot of people get together over here in this section. Again, I'm going to show you better the theater, San Carlo, as unfortunately we are not permitted to stop over here. You should stop much farther away, and then you can walk in this section. But please keep looking once again, so in case you need something before, you can see it. Left, you have the gallery, just like Milanese style, you know, La Galleria, which is a shopping mall here in Naples nowadays. And to the right, again, you can see much better the theater San Carlo, which also is 19th century. classic style. Again, the gardens of the royal palace if you arrive. Then again, we get to see the castle, which, like I told you, 13th century dates back, built in full stone, except the facade, which is in marble. So you can see that better now. Here. Can you see it? It's made up with flowers. So every day up to date. What day is today? The 11th March, so it's March 2001. And you know, it is customary for just married couples to come over here the day of marriage and take a picture close by this calendar with the castle beautiful in order to immortalize the day of their big mistake, you know. But not at this time because they're having lunch now. In front is the touristic section of the port, cruise ships over here also, as you can see. Are those buildings. Actually, this is the most expensive area where to live in Naples because all those buildings are right overlooking into the bay. Please don't miss this view because you are right in the Bay of Naples over here. This is the most beautiful section of Naples. You see those rocks on the seaside district, they have no sand though. But nowadays, as I said this morning, the bay is very polluted, so they tell you not to swim into the bay. Even though Neapolitans, they don't believe in rules, so during summertime you could see a lot of them swimming. But that's beautiful promenade. This is where a lot of Neapolitans will be coming at night, especially down weekends, and especially after 6 o'clock, after dark over here. And those buildings to the left, they are most beautiful because of the location. And the most beautiful hotels are also here. This is where Caruso composed songs. This is where the German poet wrote the words, Ladies and Lies. Like I told you this morning. So keep looking, please, because that is really beautiful. And very soon, stay ready with your cameras, because that's another castle, probably the most charming one of Naples. They have meetings and exhibitions over here. This castle was actually a fortress built by the Normans during the 11th century. Imagine that. It was transformed into a castle during the period of Charles I Romaggiore. 13th century was transformed into a castle, and they call it the Egg Castle. Look to the right, please. Why they call it the Egg Castle? Because of the oval shape of the castle. And you know, this castle is located right in the little port of Santa Lucia. You remember the famous song Santa Lucia was realized over here. It's like a little touristic port of Naples. This is where you would park your yacht, let's say. Yeah?
Oh, well, if I had a yacht, I'd certainly love to park
This
here.
is where I have mine. The most beautiful, the largest one. And also restaurants, famous for seafood. Neapolitans, they love to come here at night, like La Mezzaniera, Cinderella, Ciro. Those restaurants are very famous. Look at this to the right. And across from this little port to the left is the famous area of Santa Lucia, nightlife meeting port. And that's the Hotel Excelsior also to the left. The oldest, the last, and the only one left, as it belongs of the city of Naples. But it's right here of Santa Lucia, like you see to the left, you see all Santa Lucia area, which, believe me, you wouldn't be able to walk at night over here. Especially Saturday night and Sunday. The Sorrentine Peninsula, so that is a small peninsula attached near Pompei. And that's the Vesuvio to the right, which is completely covered by clouds at the moment. I'm sorry. But this is out of my control. I did provide the sunshine for you, but I couldn't take the clouds away. I have everything, right? And again, we will drive by the Enjoying Castle that we saw before. And from here again, this is the tourist section of the port. Then we'll go through again the commercial, the industrial, and we get back on the highway. To the left, up here, the building that you see is a museum. It's actually another castle that was transformed in a museum. What we call, what is called, the Capodimonte Museum of Naples. once again through the industrial section of the city of Naples. You see the modern section to the left, for instance, and also to the right. This is still part of Naples, but shortly we get back on the highway.